Well, I can't wait to meet our host. I hear this is only one of his beat parties.
Stay positive, the love will come back to me. Stay positive, the love will come back to me. Stay positive, the love will come back to me. Stay positive, the love will come back to me.
Hey, it's Harry Day with Too True to Lie. Thank you for watching the show. This episode is about stolen art. If you don't know me, I've been an artist since I started making money and barter around 1996, 97, probably 97. I started painting waves because I was living on Folly Beach, South Carolina, outside of Charleston. Around 97, I painted a few styles of waves that no one had ever painted ocean waves in the manner that I did. I used shapes to compose the wave, and some I did realistically, and people started giving me cases of beer for a little wave painting. People gave me money, which was always nice. It helped. I didn't get much money from my parents back then. A couple of $100 a month, maybe. People think I was raised rich. People think I always had all the money that I could ever have and never needed. I know people who are like that or were like that, and they're great, nice people, but they have a different view on life that a lot of people don't have, and I don't have that. I didn't come up with that. Now, my dad ended up making a lot of money, and a lot of that money is an investment and under control of my mom, who has survived the marriage of my dad passing last July 4th. But I'd moved to Folly Beach in 96 and got a job at a sandwich place, making sandwiches and pizzas and meeting people, making friends. And I don't know why I started painting, but I did. I just started painting. I would go by. I started with acrylics because they dried faster, and they weren't messy, and they didn't smell. I love the smell of oil paint. If you're an artist who's into oil paint, you know what I'm talking about. That smell of oil paint, it almost brings the creativity out of you alone. Muses help. Smoking dope helped at the time. I found I didn't need that kind of thing. I never was a big drinker. Those in college might argue, but it didn't last long. But I want to talk about my stolen art, not art I stole. I'm trying to remember the number. I did an audio podcast a long time ago called Stolen Art under Too True to Lie with Harry Day, wherever you hear podcasts. And it had a lot of listens. And so I thought I'll recreate that one since it's personal to me and I know it and I lived it. They're easier to talk about. If you hear an airplane open my door because finally we're out of the deep freeze and it feels fantastic outside. I've had 5 ducks in a freezer since the end of the season. And I started cleaning them today, and when you pull the feathers, the skin was just coming right off the meat. And, really, if you clean the bird whole, you want the skin on. So when you boil them, you get some duck fat in the broth. But you don't want full duck fat broth because it's too rich, unlike chicken broth. Anyway, so I was painting waves and some abstracts, mostly 2 foot by 2 foot panels in acrylic, and then I'd put a polyurethane clear gloss over them to make them look like oil paint. Basically, it made them look just like oil paint, but it was acrylic. And I'd get them framed inexpensively at this really cool place where there was a beautiful young lady that worked there whose brother owned the place, and I never could quite make any time with her. I sure tried. When haven't I, right? So, I was getting these paintings out, I was finding places in downtown Charleston to hang them, especially this one hip Chipotle bar, Mexican style restaurant. It wasn't owned by Mexicans, run by Mexicans. It was Americans. Right on the edge of College of Charleston campus, but also right on the edge of the King Street shopping district. Excellent location. So the first time I put paintings there, I had two on the wall. They had one on the outside wall and they put one in the bathroom. I don't know about you, fellow artists. I hate having my work in a bathroom unless it's at my house. But they had one in there, and it was a really cool painting. And I say was, because one day when the place was real crowded, probably in the evening, I think it was, someone, young like me at the time, I was 26 maybe, someone in a blue blazer and just regular clothes walked in the bathroom, took it off the wall, came out, took the one off the outside wall, stacked them, put them under his arm, and just walked out. This is a move I have done, not stealing things, but just getting into places where you need passes or tickets, or maybe stealing things that weren't of value but weren't mine. That makes sense, because it would be like materials to make art often. You know, you look like you know what you're doing, and you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, and no one, you know, in society, people don't ask questions and come up and say, what are you doing, if they don't know you. Look like you know what you're doing, and you get it done. Well, it worked against me, and I never saw those two paintings again. One of them was so cool. It was a greenish, bluish, complete sky and water of near the same color, but it like hued lighter into the sky. And the sun swirled yellow all the way around until it touched the surface of the water on the painting, and it looked like a sailboat had landed from wherever in a swirl on the thing. It was so cool. And it was just a painting. My paintings back then I did so fast, 20 minutes max. And then I'd have to walk away or I'd screw it up. Well, those two paintings, and this was in the late 90s, they're gone. They've been gone. No one knows what happened to them. I don't know what happened to them. So I'm like, well, it's a great venue. People see my art. People are getting to know my art and me, and I'm selling stuff. And so I have this painting on a wood panel that I think came from either a house being built out on Folly. I don't know who you are and won't. Or it was a cabinet door that I took the outer molding off of. Because it was a really good piece of wood, because I still have it. That kind of throws the mystery out the window. There's a huge fly in here. That kind of throws the mystery out the window on what happened. Anyway, I had this abstract cactus painting that fit into this this Mexican Chipotle bar and restaurant. God, there were some cool people there I had to hang out with and party with and spend time with, whatever. It was on the wall down there, and I got the phone call. Harry, I hate to tell you, but your cactus painting disappeared. Now, the previous two paintings, the reason I knew that's how it happened is one of the girls, who was a friend of mine behind the register, watched him do it and just figured he was doing something for me. She knew me, she didn't know him, but she just, there's a lot of people in Charleston. She's trying to do her job. I wasn't mad at her. It happened, It was the first time I had art stolen from me. I thought it was kind of cool. My cactus painting was taken, and I was kind of not happy, but what are you going to do? It's gone. So I'll go on to painting, and in this next year's time, I've started painting on antique windows, the 6-pane windows, where each pane in the wooden window frame is a separate pane that's sealed in and pinned in. These are old windows, older than me, maybe 70s, but probably older than me at the time. You know, from the 60s and the 50s, when people would tear down old houses or take out old windows. Somehow I was getting all these windows. It got to a point where if people brought me 2 or 3 windows that were good, I would paint them and let them have one. And I would choose which one they could have, because, like, you know, if there was a really good one, I'd get at least $100 for them. Back then, that was easy money. I think I made, you know, it was a long time ago, over $200 for a window at some point. And then there were the bigger windows. But, so I was focusing on that. And it was about 9 months later. I was even working there by then, because I was just hanging paintings there, and then I was just hanging out there. The place was called Yo Burrito. On September 11th, 2001, on 9/11, that was the day, I think it was a Tuesday, that I started a delivery job, riding a bicycle for lunch around downtown Charleston, because it was flat, delivering burritos and whatever food they made to people, working for tips. And I didn't mind. I had a lot of paintings in the bar that people, they knew by then, after 3 paintings were stolen out of there, that no one could take a painting out of there but me. I even sold a big painting out of there. Yeah. Oh, I'm drinking, I always say I'm drinking so much something tea. I'm drinking kombucha out of a little mason jar. For some reason I like these, but they're small jars, because you don't want to drink a large amount of this, or you make a large amount of that. It tastes like really strong, unsweet ginger ale. This brand does, which I like. So it's 9 months later, and the manager, who was a friend, called me and said, "Harry, I think I know where that cactus painting is." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me, man. It's been half a year." And he goes, "I don't know." Well, it ended up being 9 months, but he goes, "Yeah, it's at the corner." This guy, he's a real butthole. He drinks. I was in a fraternity with him. He still drinks, and he always made bad decisions, and he was a real butthole. But he lives at the corner of so-and-so street and so-and-so street in the duplex. There's only one duplex on that corner. I just wanted you to know. It's like he was telling me some government secret, and I was supposed to go into operation recovery mode, but don't tell anybody. When in fact it was, some jackass stole my painting, and I'm going to get it back. Except I didn't know what streets those were. I think it was the next night, Patrick Welty, my good buddy Patrick Welty, whom I met, who lived downstairs from me when I moved to Folly, and who cooked at Yo Burrito, except he quit on 9/11 because the other cook said all the people in those buildings, Quebec, god dang, man, said all the people in those other buildings deserve to die. And no one would go off on him or give him hell because he was the only black guy that worked there. But what he said was completely asinine. And Patrick blew up and walked out. He said, "I'm done. I can't work with you." That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And he quit. He didn't work there after that. I stayed and worked because I had fun hanging out with all the college. I was like 6, 7 years older than most of them. But it was just a fun place, a cool bar. They had a long ski, like a water ski, that they had super glued 4 or 5 shot glasses to about 2.5 feet apart, and they filled them all up, and then everybody lined up, and everyone took a shot at the same time with the ski, and then they hung it on the wall back behind you. So it was a fun place. I had paintings on the wall, and there were huge windows in the front, so everyone saw the paintings. So I was like, you know, I'm not real proud outwardly. I'll see what time it is. And I don't crow on myself a lot because my work back then was pretty good. And my paintings were hit and miss. You know, some paintings were awesome. They really worked. Some didn't work and they dried and I painted over them. So, Welty and I are leaving Yo Burrito in my vehicle. I think at the time, so this is 2000, 2001. Maybe I'm a little older than I said I was. I was 30. We're leaving downtown in my Suburban. I had an older Suburban. And we come to this stop sign, and Welty's head starts looking. He's a little younger than me. He's from Savannah. He's like, dude, this is that four-way stop where that guy lives, where your painting's supposed to be. I was like, you sure? Because he's close friends with the manager as I was, more so, and knew all about it. And so I'm like, well, let's check it out, I guess. And so we go through the stop sign and we see the duplex is right there. And there's 2 parking spots for the duplex, and one of them's open. So I'm like, I'm just going to pull in that parking space, Pat. What do you think? He's like, yeah. And he's fumbling with his pocket. And so I pull into that parking space, and it's on the left to a car on the right. And we look over at the back side of that duplex, and you can see right into the left duplex that's lit up, big glass sliding doors, 3 people watching TV. There's the TV, and above the TV is my painting, my cactus painting. It's 3 cactuses comprised of small triangles with a almost a Ralph Steadman-like styled desertscape background. Such a cool piece. It really is. And I'm like, man, it's right there. I'm looking at it. And let's see, there's 2 dudes and a chick in there. What do I do, man? I'm thinking in my head this. What am I going to do? I look at Pat, and Pat's got a bowl. And he's blowing out a crack in my window, and he blows it out, and he looks at me, leans in, and he goes, what you going to do, Harry? And I'm like, man, I don't know. It's like, and I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say this now, but at the time I didn't know what it's like to have kids. I was like, man, it's like you see your kid and you know you can't just leave. You got to get it. And really, it's nothing like that, because that would be kidnapping. But that's what I thought at the time. That's my baby. They've got my baby. I've got to get it. But I'm like oscillating. I'm like, I don't know what I should do about it, but my hand is opening the door. I distinctly remember my body reacting on its own while my mind is playing footsie with itself. And Pat's just looking at me, and he has this he always had this wild-eyed look. And, like, excitement, what you gonna do, what's fixing to happen, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts look. And so I'm opening the door, and I'm getting out. And he didn't get out with me, but it didn't matter. He watched me and smoked dope with his pipe in my freaking truck. So I get out and I walk up. And as I'm walking up to the little steps that go up to the sliding glass door, I'm thinking, okay, there's 2 dudes in there. I've seen that guy before that does here and did it. And I'm not worried about him. That other guy looks kind of big, but not big. And then the woman, unless she has mace, I'm not worried about it at all. So I'm thinking, how am I going to approach this? And as I'm thinking that, my hand just starts banging on the window as hard as I can without breaking it. Bam, 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 bam. All 3 of them go rigid and look at me. And I'm standing in the door glaring at them. My body has gone into its own formula of recovery, while my mind is just doing donuts in my head. Wee, 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 wee. And the guy comes over and opens the glass window and looks up at me, because he's shorter than me, like most people. He's like, yeah? I said, I know where that painting came from. I know whose it is. I know what you did. I'm not leaving here without it. So bring it over. And he walks over, takes it off the wall. The other 2 are just sitting there quiet looking at me. And when he hands me the painting, it's 2 by 2, 2 foot by 2 foot on wood. His hands are shaking. He's like, sorry, man, sorry. And I snatch it from him. I'm like, don't do that shit again. You don't do that shit. And I leave and get in the car. And Pat's like, dude, that was awesome. I'm like, man, I wasn't even in my body when that happened. My body went over there and got it. So we go back out to the island and celebrate, Woo! Got my painting, and I have it to this day. So, is it on my website? It's on my website, harrymday.com, on the painting page, under Stolen Art. And the reason I have a page on my page about stolen art is because I think at one time I counted up to 12 pieces of art stolen throughout my art career. And I haven't made a lot of money. I mean, I make thousands and thousands of dollars a year, but I never could support a family doing it. But luckily, my dad, by that time, had made his money, and I had given him a piece of art for his birthday one year. I did a painting of the Morris Island Lighthouse where I got sucked out to sea with the 3 other guys, and we swam for my life. And I gave it to him, and he was so impressed by it that he upped the amount of money that I got. That parents give their kids a little bit of money, especially when they're in their 20s. He upped it and said, pursue it. If you want to go to school for it, I'll pay for it. I'm like, I don't want to go to school for it. I don't want to go to school. I went to school. Ugh. And I never did go to school for it. Oh my God, I think someone's here. Okay, I'll come back. No one was here. Someone went by real slow. I was hearing voices. It's the TV on the far end of the house. Oh, right. Nothing like breaking the train of thought with a brick than stopping all my stolen art. I've only gotten into 3 pieces. So I'm into the windows now. And I'm still living on Folly at a different house on the beach, across the street from the beach, but we had a straight on view right by the pier. Those are fun years. Or a year. That was a fun year living there. But I was painting windows out in the front porch, and then across the street and over was the sales shack where I worked during the summer, just hanging out, renting out stuff to tourists, which was easy money, and I got to hang out on the beach. And everyone wore bikinis, even men. That was actually a lot of fun when I worked there. That was a good run. So someone had brought me a really nice window to paint for them. And they paid me a nice amount of money to do it. And they brought me an extra window also, just to boot. Cool people. A couple. I got to stop spitting in the microphone. And so I paint it. And it's on the front porch drying. Paint side against the wall. So no one streaks the oil paint, because that's the only way you could do the windows was with oil paint. And the oil paint dries slow. And so, I'd been doing that deal where if you bring me several windows, I'll paint one for you. Well, I'm downtown one day or off doing something. I had to have been downtown or I probably would have called this guy. I come back and the big window's gone. And I go in, I'm like, Brad, Jamie, where'd that big window out there go? And they're like, oh, we thought you sold it or you got it back to them. I'm like, no, I didn't. I hadn't talked to them. It wasn't ready yet. And no one knew. No one saw anything. Beautiful 9-pane window, a wave in each pane, different colors, etched with the back of the paintbrush, so when light or sun came through it threw laser lines down. Such a cool method that I just stumbled on, like everything else. And I don't know how long it was later. It was months. I was hanging out with my buddy Banjo Tim, a naturalist. He'd never taken an aspirin. Wouldn't go to a doctor. Ate everything natural, juiced everything. Kind of got me into juicing off and He's like, hey, let's go to my friend's place. And he didn't even mention, my painting. I don't think he knew. So we walk into this guy's place, and it was only 2 blocks away. And there's my 9-pane oil paint wave window mounted on the center of the main wall of his apartment. Lights around it. I mean, it was like the feature of his life, this piece, the way he had it put. And I just thought, man, because here's the thing, the guy had brought me 3 windows months before, not even that many, weeks to months before I painted that real big window. But he brought me 3 little rickety 6-pane windows. I'm not so sure I even got used to all of them because the windows would just fall out of them. They wouldn't break unless they fell and broke. But it was loose and rattly, and I didn't like working on those. You had to. I didn't reseal them in. I would just get rid of them. And I guess he figured a 9-pane, awesome wave window was what he got for bringing me 3 crappy, paint-peeled, rattly windows. And in the end, it did. Because I saw it. Well, here's how I'll tell it. We hung out with him and smoked pot because Tim was a big pothead, and I was too. And I don't even think we talked about it. I didn't say a thing. And here's why. When he and I left, because we didn't stay there a long time. When he and I left, I was like, Tim, that window in there was for so-and-so and so-and-so, this couple. He goes, was it? I was like, yeah, they gave me that window to paint for them, and they paid me. That guy gave me 3 crappy windows to paint and give him one, and I was going to give him the crappiest one back because they were crappy windows. And he goes, I'll go back in there and straighten this out. I'll get it. I was like, no, Tim. He mounted it on the wall. He backlit it. It's like it's a focal point of his universe. He loves it. I can't take it away from him. I can't do it. I should, but I couldn't, and I didn't. And he may never know. It's so long ago, 30 years. He may never know that 31 years, 32 years, that actually happened. And I told the couple who I didn't have a 9-pane window for them. I was like, man, I told them the story, and they laughed, and they said, just make us a nice window, and it'll be fine. And I did. But just craziness. So did anything else get stolen down there? I can't think of anything at the moment. When I moved to California, nothing got stolen, but I didn't have art out everywhere at all like I did in Charleston. When I moved back to Mississippi, I did a festival downtown Jackson, and I was in the artist village, and I had my own art booth like I do when I do art festivals now. And Blind Melon, so this is around 06, 08, probably 08, maybe. Blind Melon was back together with their new singer, Chris Warren. And he sounds just like him. A little different guy, probably more responsible, but I had to go see him. And, our area was gated off with fencing, kind of like the White House. And there was a security guard where all the people went up and down the main causeway for walking in between the music acts and all the stuff you could do in between downtown. So I'm like, there's nothing to worry about in my booth. So I go up there and I watch Blind Melon, and ZZ Top's about to start, and I'm like, I've seen them twice, and I'm going to go back to my booth and pack it up because it was the end of the night. I got back there, and a painting I had that was about 2.5 by 2 of a turtle in oil in squares, but the whole thing wasn't square like I do it where I weave squares. I can't really show you right now. It looks like a basket weave of paint. But these, I went along with the shape angles. And someone just picked it up and walked off. It wasn't even done. Now that I think about it, the turtle wasn't even done. But someone left. And I remember during the show that night, 2 different groups of people, both with an artist in the art village, that really loved that turtle painting. And both the guys that they were with, these girls, who I suspect took it, one of them, I really don't like or didn't like. I don't see him anymore now. One was a crackhead. He loved my work, but he was an untrustworthy crackhead. His art wasn't any good either, but that's neither here nor there. The other one was an artist, as in he wanted to be seen as an artist and look like an artist and act like an artist, but he wasn't really an artist. He was just like a walking jester, a clown. And they were both with women who loved that painting, and one of them I know took it and walked out the back because only artists had access. Never saw that one again. Then I got into the metal. I had a metal man that was about 4 feet tall. If you go to my site, you may see some of the metal men, harrymday.com. Bolted to a foundation in downtown Jackson out in front of a gallery that I would sit at once a week so I could sell my art from inside. Didn't sell a lot of art there. Had shows. Met some nice people. You know, it was okay. It was across from Millsaps University or Millsaps College. And it was in 2005 because I was on vacation in California surfing because as of winter of 2003, I was an excellent surfer. Now, I'd been a year and a half and a torn up knee, and I wasn't as good, but I could ride if it wasn't too big. And I got a call, and someone said, "Hey, did you come get your metal man, shovelhead guy?" I'm like, "No, I'm in California. What are you talking about?" "Oh, well, it's not out there." No, I didn't get it. Someone unbolted it from the light podium or whatever, the concrete riser that has huge bolts out of it that you bolt light bars to, night lights. It was bolted to that, and someone unbolted it and took it. And I figured it was some college student at Millsaps, and I drove all over that area and asked all kinds of people and got nothing. Who knows where that thing is? I have no idea where that thing is. One time I made a deer head out of a kid's wagon and bicycle parts, frame parts, and just whatever else I collect in my metal shop. And it was a real good looking buck, like a buck head mount, but out of metal. And sold it to a lawyer in North Mississippi who ended up selling it to one of my close friends in Starkville, Mississippi, who has it still. And I have it on my page, or I had it on my website, and a woman in Jackson saw it and said, "Can you make me one?" And I made her one, and she loved it. And she put it on the wall of their decorative barn. It wasn't an actual barn. They had country property outside of town here in Jackson, outside of Clinton. And they affixed it to the front wall of the porch where they like to hang out when they went out there and hung out. And they put it up, and within 2 days it was gone. And the girl was so mad. She said she knew the usual suspects in the area, and she went from house to house in the country out there until she found it. 2 boys, teenagers that, or at least one of them lived at this house. Their mom ratted them out, which is a good thing. And she got it back. I don't know if she put it back outside or had to put it inside. But that was just another piece gone, but retrieved. So I can think of some that got retrieved. I did a huge mural when I lived on Folly on the side of Burt's Grocery, where everybody bought beer and hot dogs and snacks. And Bert went into rehab, and his daughter was a cute little teenager who I was friends with, friends only, asked me if I'd do a mural on the left wall, and paint a big wave. I was like, I've got a great idea. I'm going to buy a bunch of safety paint. They gave me like a couple $100 and said you can just come in while you're doing it. If you need milk, if you need beer, whatever, you can just get it. And so, it only took me a couple of weeks to do it. And I didn't eat them out of stock. I got drinks when I wanted drinks. I really wasn't drinking a lot of beer back then. I was kind of getting out of the beer phase. This is around 99. And so I bought Day-Glo paint, safety paint, like 3 or 4 different colors, and made a big, huge triangle wave that went down from the back of the building to the front, up, and pitched. And then I did some palm trees and a little beach scene and then a little weird shaped sun. And then I kind of painted lines along some of the edges. A lot of tape. I used a lot of tape, masking tape. And this thing popped when you first saw it driving down Cooper or whatever road it was. It wasn't Cooper, Ashley. Was Ashley the main road? Maybe. Yeah, it had to have been Ashley. Cooper was one back. That's what I lived on first, was Cooper. So Burt, it goes for most of the summer, and people love it, especially the artists and the ladies who I sold art out from their gallery on the far side of the marsh from Folly. They were big fans of mine. They were really cool ladies. I always seemed to be able to sell my work over anybody's. I was most original. And one day, someone said, "I can't believe they painted over your mural." I'm like, at Burt's? And they're like, yeah, it's like a dirty boiled egg yolk, yellow color. It's gone. I'm like, it's gone? What in the hell? And so I go over there, and it's just this awful yellow colored wall, and the mural's gone. And I heard for weeks people pissed about, the especially the kids. Kids and surfers loved it. I would always hear about it when they realized I was the one that painted it. And I finally found out. I don't know if it was from his daughter. Gosh, what's her name? Can't think of it. I wonder if she has kids. I wonder what she's doing. I need to ask Sheila. She would know. Was it Bert that told me straight up? I'm not sure how I got the info, but the info was Bert and his daughter lived around back of Bert's grocery. And so when they left their apartment, they had to walk along that wall, and most people would look straight, and then, a block and a half ahead was the beach and the Atlantic Ocean and blue beauty. Well, Bert, back from rehab, would walk out and see all these Day-Glo triangles. And, quote, every time I looked at that thing, it made me want to do drugs. And I'm trying to be sober, so I had it painted over. And so it's gone forever. I didn't get a picture of it. I don't even think I had a flip phone then. Everybody used landlines still. It was the 90s. That's all I can think of for stolen art. There's other pieces, smaller or less. I can't imagine what they are at the moment. I'd have to look it up or look at the old post. But this thing's got to have gone 40 minutes, which is way too long. But that's the life of an artist when you're so original and abstract and different, I guess. That people love your work so much that they're just going to take it. I'm just going to take it. I really like it. I don't have $500. I'm going to take it. And it happened. 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 And that's the ones I can think of. Because I know it happened more than that. But that's just, and they're still out there. Sometimes if I had a piece I didn't like, I'd take it downtown Charleston and leave it on a curb with my number on the back. or an email address saying, let me know who you are if you got it. Congratulations. And I would hear from, 1 out of 3. They'd be like, did you mean to leave this here? I'm like, yeah. Enjoy. So, unity, love. Be kind to everybody. I got new wrinkles. They're not new. You know why they're not new? Because they're old. I don't want to get into all that. It's the same message always, and this is getting long. So all I want to say is, peace. Is it off? No, it's not. I did that on purpose. Peace.